Have you been watching WandaVision lately? Of course you have, so you know all about S.W.O.R.D. Well, maybe not. Let's talk about it. So with Wanda making waves in Disney Plus, we've been introduced to a new secret organization in the MCU. That is S.W.O.R.D. But who are they? Obviously, they're keeping a lot to the chest when it comes to the MCU, but that's what I'm here for. I love talking about comics, and you actually specifically asked me to talk about S.W.O.R.D, so here it is. I'm going to break this down into two different groups though. Who is S.W.O.R.D in the comics? And what do I think this means for the MCU? So, let's get into it. In the world of Marvel, S.W.O.R.D made its debut relatively recently. We first meet S.W.O.R.D in 2004 in Astonishing X-Men number 3. Similar to S.H.I.E.L.D., S.W.O.R.D is actually an acronym. Sentient World Observation and Response Department. S.W.O.R.D was S.H.I.E.L.D's counterpart for space. S.W.O.R.D's mission was to protect the Earth from extraterrestrial threats and protect the citizens of Earth from extraterrestrials that already lived here. Alien activity was monitored from the orbital space station known as the Peak. Although S.W.O.R.D agents are highly skilled at what they do and specially trained, they do accept help from heroes of Earth, namely the X-Men. In fact, they even have a mole within the X-Mansion. Everyone's favorite dragon, Lockheed. That being said, S.W.O.R.D has some notable agents of their own. The biggest person of note has to be Abigail Brand. Brand is the director of S.W.O.R.D and has been around since the team's introduction in Astonishing X-Men number 3 as a cameo. Her first full appearance came 3 issues later in Astonishing X-Men number 6. Abigail is the lifeblood of the organization. They haven't had a lot of stories dedicated to S.W.O.R.D, but if S.W.O.R.D is involved, you can bet Brand will be there. Another person of note is the infamous Henry Peter Gyrich. He may not be super recognizable to fans of today, but Henry Peter Gyrich has been a menace in Marvel for many, many years. Just some background on Henry. He was actually the Avengers liaison to the US government. He was first introduced to us in 1977 in Avengers number 165. He was tasked by the US government to mandate the Avengers reduce their number of the roster to a core 7. It was because of him Hawkeye was kicked off the team to make room for Falcon. Neither party was very excited about this move. Never an outright villain, Henry's always been an antagonist of the superhero community. And it's clear he's still up to his old ways, this time being part of S.W.O.R.D. It was because of Henry's fear-mongering that an anti-alien legislation was passed, and with it, several notable aliens were deported from Earth. Some of these aliens are Beta Ray Bill and Novar the Marvel Boy. All in all, S.W.O.R.D's presence really hasn't been that significant in Marvel's 616 universe. Back in 2009, there was a S.W.O.R.D book, but sadly it was pretty short-lived, only lasting 5 issues. Now right now, as part of the Reign of X, there's a brand new S.W.O.R.D book featuring some of fan favorites mutants, and of course, Abigail Brand. If you're looking for another great representation of S.W.O.R.D, look no further than Earth's Mightiest Heroes.
Welcome to Damocles Base, Mr. Gyrich. From here, S.W.O.R.D observes and responds to situations involving any extraterrestrial presence. And if possible, we're trying to make peaceful first contact with...
Cut to the chase, Major Danvers. You hunt aliens.
I wouldn't quite describe it that way.
I've read the report, so you can skip the song and dance. So how many aliens have you captured?
Excuse me?
How many aliens?
None. Would you like to see the bridge now?
Access main controls. Respond. Respond, please. Okay. How about respond before I shoot you in your stupid AI face?
Agent Brand.
What is it, Danvers? I have a computer to shoot.
This is Henry Gyrick. You know, our liaison with the United States government. The one I told you was coming today?
I don't have time for politicians.
I don't understand why not. You've been here for months, and what have you accomplished? Nothing. Have you even seen an alien?
Alert. Incoming threat detected.
There's one.
This was an absolutely fantastic show, and it was an absolute shame when it was taken off the air. If you want to watch it, look no further than Disney Plus. It's all on there, and it is 100% worth the time every single time you watch it. So as one last little fun fact, when I was doing my research for this video, I came across the fact that I never actually knew. S.W.O.R.D was supposed to make its debut in the MCU all the way back in 2011 as part of a deleted scene in the post-credit scenes for Thor. It was supposed to have Eric Selvig telling them to cross the data that S.H.I.E.L.D. gave them with the S.W.O.R.D database. Unfortunately, at the time, Abigail Brand, Lockheed, and S.W.O.R.D all fell under the X-Men umbrella when it comes to the rights of the movies. Therefore, 20th Century Fox had full control over them and was not allowing the MCU to debut S.W.O.R.D at that time. Now, as you know, 2021, Disney bought 20th Century Fox and has these rights all to themselves. That's why we're able to have S.W.O.R.D in the MCU right now. That brings us to a question, however. Why now? Why is S.W.O.R.D being introduced into the MCU? S.W.O.R.D never had a huge presence in the comics before, so what is it doing in the MCU now? I think our first clue has to be the name. In the comics, the name, as I stated earlier, is the Sentient World Observation and Response Department. But if you pay attention, they've actually changed the name slightly in the show. Now the name reads Sentient Weapon Observation and Response Division. From here, we verge into speculation. But it's speculation based on what we know as the MCU as a whole and what we've seen in the show so far. I think the MCU version of S.W.O.R.D is going to be different than the comics counterpart. First and foremost, the MCU Earth as of yet doesn't have a dedicated space program like they do in the comics. So S.W.O.R.D is going to act differently just based on that. We don't know exactly when S.W.O.R.D was founded in the MCU, but we know for a fact that at least as of Infinity War and Endgame, they don't have enough of a presence to be able to warn the Earth or protect the Earth against extraterrestrial life, i.e. Thanos, in both movies. We do know that Monica's mother, Mariah Rambeau, is the one that actually founds the organization. Because of the flashback after the blip, we learn that S.W.O.R.D used to have manned spaceflight until their astronauts were killed in the blip. Side note, I'm not sure about this yet, we don't really know how it's going to happen, but a lot of people think that this is how we're going to get the Fantastic Four in the future. I'm really excited to see the first family in Marvel, but that's a different video. With their manned space flights being grounded, S.W.O.R.D had to take up new responsibilities. We know that S.H.I.E.L.D. was dismantled in the events of Captain America Winter Soldier, or went underground, depending on if you believe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is canon or not. Regardless, in the absence of S.H.I.E.L.D., it appears that S.W.O.R.D took up the mantle of top intelligence agency in the world. Moreover, I find the word weapon being very interesting. I think this version of S.W.O.R.D is less concerned about extraterrestrial life and much more concerned with protecting Earth from weapons. Now, these could be weapons of mass destruction. These could be weapons of a supernatural bent. The fact that it says sentient weapons might mean that they're trying to protect the Earth from sentient weapons like supervillains. Maybe this is why they're interested in Wanda. They believe that Wanda is a sentient weapon. In fact, I would believe this explains their heavy hand in dealing with Wanda. Ultimately, as of most things with WandaVision, we don't know what's up just yet. We probably won't know until the end. There's 3 more episodes left, and you know that I am super excited for those episodes. These past weeks have been a true delight, and I am so glad that this show is showing, and I am so glad I am able to watch it. What do you guys think? What do you think S.W.O.R.D's doing in the MCU? Do you think that they're going to be very similar to the comic counterparts, or something completely different? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now guys, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you could just do me a couple favors, like this video, subscribe for all future content if you have not already, hit the bell for notification so that you know when everything's coming out, and share with your friends. Check out my merch store if you haven't already. Excelsior, true believers. Till next time.